From Florida's Space Coast, this is Your Career.
Welcome to Your Career. I'm Debbie Featherston, your host, and with me tonight is Martin Duffy, Director of Florida SBDC. Marty, I am so delighted to have you with me. I think it's just an honor to have you and to be able to help people learn a little bit more about the Small Business Development Center and your role in it. What would you say is the core mission of the Florida SBDC?
Well, the core mission is to help the small business owners and people who want to start a business work through those problems that are hindering them from being very successful, whether it's marketing growth, whether it's financial management. It could be how to manage people, how to obtain government contracts, whatever their issues are, we help work through them with a variety of different tools, with different expertise, with different consulting arrangements, with classes. It's basically a full portfolio of consulting and classes, educational services that we'll provide clients.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And the cost?
The cost is free. It's funny, the cost is actually, we're paid via grant. Mm-hmm. And so from a variety of different sources, which we could talk about later, but that means there's no direct cost to a client at all. It comes from a combination of public and private funding that we receive. Yeah. So there's no direct cost. There are some classes where there might be a small nominal fee if we have to bring in outside experts.
Yeah, cover materials, things like
Correct.
that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So when and why was the SBDC started? I doubt that many people, if they know about the SBDC, actually know the history.
Well, we got to go back in time. The small business owners, in order to compete with the larger enterprises that are out there, need some expertise, and they lack the financial wherewithal to go out and go to, let's say, the Boston Consulting Group, or the Baines Consulting Group, or the McKinsey Consulting Group. I'd worked at Xerox and British Petroleum. We brought in consultants all the time for their expertise. The small business owner can't do that. They don't have the resources to do that. Yeah. So I think there was recognition at the Small Business Administration that they had to create a network out there of expertise, both consulting and educational support for the small businesses, that get them to that next level, that allow them to grow. Mm-hmm. And that's our job. Mm-hmm. Our job is to do just that. Mm-hmm. As I had mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So that was about 40 years ago. We're in 1977, so we're just celebrating our 40th anniversary. We're all very proud of it. And we've grown from a few centers to nationwide. And in fact, there's even international alliances now.
Wow.
And we're working wherever the needs are, really, of the community. We have a for-profit focus, but we'll also support not-for-profits as well.
Oh, so you do work with for-profits as well as non-for-profits?
Yeah, our core mission is job growth, building the economy, and it tends to focus on for-profits. But there's a not-for-profit. I mean, we won't turn down anybody that comes to see us at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how is it actually funded? I mean, it sounds like if it's under the SBA, right, Small Business Administration, is it really tax dollars that get, distributed down through the states to the local communities? How does that funding work? You mentioned a grant as well. That's why I'm curious.
So the funding model for the Small Business Administration is working in partnership with local communities. It's almost in anything that they do, whether it's grant funding or loans or what have you. But in this case, what they do is they provide funding to the states, the individual states. So it's the state of Florida. We're actually a 501c3 registered under the state of Florida. So they'll provide a grant to the state of Florida. The state of Florida will provide some funding, and then it's parsed out to the different communities in Florida, using this as a model. And then Eastern Florida State, where I reside, will then provide some matching fund as well. So it's very much a combination of a state partner, a local partner, and a federal grant, all working together to provide the resources and support to small businesses.
Well, given the funding sources, what kind of accountability does the organization really have? And
yes, we're measured on job growth, we're measured on revenue growth, we're measured about how many hours we spend in clients that are successful. We're measured. In fact, if you go to the Eastern Florida State website, you'll see some of the successful clients. We keep stories out there, provide them with free public relations marketing. But those are our key, those are we'll call them our lagging metrics. And leading into that, we look at the number of consulting hours, the type of research, the type of activities that we support clients with.
Okay.
But that is how we're measured. We're measured on outcomes, not necessarily output. And we're really charged about it. We're excited about it. And we also have a new SBA lead now. Linda McMahon has come in under the new administration. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, it sounds like good things are coming, and actually you've done so many great things that are having a positive impact on the economy, and that's awesome. I'm curious, Marty, how did you what's your background, and how did you become involved with the SBDC?
Well, I'm from upstate New York, from Rochester, New York, and I worked for 2 companies for most of my life. It was in corporations. I was with British Petroleum for 7 years. They had a manufacturing unit I worked in, and then for Xerox for 25 years. And when I was at Xerox, I actually was involved in a lot of internal consulting and helping mentor employees along the way in their career. So I did a lot of consulting-like activities, usually under the guise of finance or marketing or operations. I also married into 30 years ago. I'm celebrating my 30th anniversary.
Well, happy anniversary.
Wonderful woman, yes. Hopefully she's watching this. Get some brownie points. But 30 years ago, I married into a restaurant family.
Okay.
So I started hearing about their issues. And between what I was working on in corporate and their issues, we saw where there was a marriage of things that could be very beneficial. And then I had all of my friends. I grew up in inner city, and most of my friends never went to college, but they went and started small businesses. So I started hearing about their stories. I became very interested in trying to help them. I came to Florida, took a retirement package, moved to Florida about 5 years ago to Melbourne, Florida, and started first with a volunteer group called SCORE, which is also a sister organization of ours. It gets grant funding. I started with them, and then about close to about 3 years ago, this position came open. And I wanted to do it on more of a full-time basis because I really enjoyed working with the people. I've met so many great people out there, so many wonderful people. I've worked with transitioning military veterans from Patrick Air Force Base, from people from all different walks of life, different ethnic backgrounds, and just trying to help them realize their dreams. It's very fulfilling.
I would imagine it is. Let's unpack the services, because you mentioned, if I recall, and I know looking at the website, there's consulting, there are classes, there are other kinds of services.
All the services are aligned with what we've found out from the needs of the small business community. And there's some, I'll call it general line services, and that would be things like marketing, which is actually the number one thing that I provide clients. How to market the product, how to market themselves, market their value proposition, build their brand, create awareness and consideration out there in the market. So we'll help clients with market research, and we'll help them build together a marketing plan that is both very effective and efficient for the amount of money they have to spend. So that's one. Another area that many small businesses need help in is financial management. Being able to read the financial reports, the income statement.
Understand the numbers, right?
Be able to read the story in the numbers and what the numbers are telling them and what they should be doing and how they can take certain actions to create wealth for themselves and therefore, hopefully, hire employees, pay more tax dollars, et cetera. Then there's people management. So many people really don't understand that it's a management process, how to recruit right, how to interview right, how to hire right, how to manage the expectations, and then how to exit the right way legally and with you know, a gentle approach to the people too. Those are three of the main line. Then we have some specialized services in government contracting. We educate the small business owner on everything they need to do to win a state and local or federal government contract. So they can compete with the Rockwell Collins, the Harris, and they can be part of that. The largest procurer of goods in the world is the United States government, the single largest. And so allowing the small business owners to get their fair share of those dollars that are out there. So that's our government contracting group. It's called PTAC, Program Technical Assurance. And then the last is export marketing. For many small businesses, how do you penetrate Europe or Latin America or Asia? How do you penetrate those markets? So we help them. We have an export marketing function as well. So we're trying to give them anything that a big company would have, all the capability, but within the Small Business Administration world for them.
And so how does an individual get in touch with you? I mean, go to your website? Do they pick up the phone and call you?
Well, they can pick up the phone and call. Generally what we'll do is we'll refer them to our website link, which we're hosted by Eastern Florida State. So we have a landing page on Eastern Florida State, and they'll register for consulting or for a class there. And then we'll see them, we'll set up time with them. Initially spend maybe an hour to get to know them, focus really on listening, find out what their issues are, listening, ask, kind of some probing questions. And then after that session, we'll leave with an action plan. There's actions that they're going to have to do, and then there's actions that we're going to do to support them to meet their goals and objectives. And then we'll meet back together and then see how well we're doing in it, and then take it to the next layer. Some people we meet with every week, some every day, some once a month, some every couple of months. I work to the pace, and all of us work to the pace of the owners. Some of them, they come in, ask one question, and I might never hear from them again. But that's how flexible it is, though. Whatever their needs are, whatever their pace, how to help them meet their dreams.
But it sounds like for them to stay engaged in the services, that there's an expectation that they're going to do some homework, that they're going to have to really, right, as part of the learning, if we're talking about marketing, they're going to have to begin to put elements of a marketing plan together or whatever you decide are appropriate tasks to move them forward.
Yeah, we will not baby them. We will challenge them. We'll hold them accountable. We're not really here to be their buddy. We're here to help them grow as a business owner. And we'll show them information they need to have that they don't have today, or knowledge they need to collect. And then we'll steer them towards the right offering and right education that they need, whether we offer it or there's great programs out there on the internet that can also help fulfill part of their requirement. Coursera, I'm a big fan of Coursera.
Tell us about Coursera.
Coursera is a consortium. It's out there, created, I think, in Silicon Valley, a consortium of schools across the country. Not really SBDC or SBA.
Right.
Just schools across the country that have packaged their courses, their content, and they deliver it via the internet. So usually videos, chat room discussions, reading materials that are out there. And they complement a lot of things that we offer. They'll take you into financial accounting, and I can talk about financial management. And you could actually find a winning combination between what's out there and being offered for free in the public domain to what we offer. And then you could package together something that much more powerful. I mentioned before marketing, finance, people management. We don't leave them with, okay, here's what you got to do in each one of these areas, because they get overwhelmed. We'll say, what will make the biggest difference in the near term? So let's pick 2 or 3 things for you to do, and 2 or 3 things that are within your capability. And then I'll ask them to go do it. And usually while they're doing it, I'll send them an email response of our session, documenting what we talked about. I'll send them some information that could be very helpful. And then I have basically an open door. They can send me an email. They can call me if they need guidance until the next session that we meet.
Very rewarding, I would imagine, to know that you're playing some small role in to build someone's knowledge, skill, in being able to better lead their businesses.
It's very gratifying when they come back and they say, hey, a lot of our success is based on the contributions that our team, our organization has made. It's very great. It's called upsizing a business, where before I was involved in a lot of downsizing business. So it's a lot more fun. A lot more fun when we're growing a business, right? Trying to help them grow and make it sustainable. And when anybody gets into a business, it's their passion, and it's liberating at first when you start a business, and they have this tremendous energy and tremendous excitement. And for many business owners, over the course of years, they get bogged down in customer issues or employee issues. They lose that excitement, that passion. And it becomes, for some of them, more of a prison, more of a structured prison they have to do every day because they don't know any other alternative versus that liberating experience. So what we try to do is take it back and look at the silver lining that's out there. Look at the opportunities that are out there. Try to reignite that passion, that excitement to get them to the next level. Show them that things aren't as bad as you think. In fact, things are a lot better than you may think. And here are the good things that you might be missing versus all the problems that you feel bogged down in. I'm thinking about, if we look at businesses, there's usually a cycle. Businesses go through a particular cycle. At what stage in that cycle do you see most of the business owners? I would say at the maturity. So, when I think of a cycle, Debbie, I think of startup growth, maturity, and harvest. The 4 cycles that I think of. And I'll say that let me revisit. Most of my hours are in maturity. Most of the clients are in startup, but they don't, because a lot of times they may not come back. It's not the right idea. It's not the right time. Then most of the time I spend is at the maturity, where they are just stuck. They're not turning a profit. They're not getting the revenue growth, or maybe even starting to inch down. There's new competitive entries in their marketplace. They don't know how to respond to them. They have just a host of employee issues. In fact, one of the big issues that small business owners have now with the lower unemployment rate is keeping good people at a price that they can afford. And they're very much struggling with that. The economy has turned around. It's not as difficult now to get a loan, where it would have been 3, 4, 5 years ago. Things have changed, and they're not really ready for that change. So you try to get them through and show them different areas of opportunity that are out there. Sourcing people from transitioning military veterans from Patrick Air Force Base. They may not have thought of that. Or using the career placement offices at the local colleges. They may not have thought about that. Or going to some disabled employment services, perhaps like Brevard Achievement Center, which has some skilled people.
There you go.
They may not have thought of that. So you're opening up new areas of opportunity and possibility for them.
Yeah, just really helping. Because one of the biggest challenges that I see that many businesses are having today, and I wonder if this may be the case for a percentage of your clients, and that is the fact that as they are trying to get their business to the next level, they're struggling with that issue which you hit on, and that is, when do I hire, and how do I know who to hire? Right? But the other part of that is sometimes to hire, the type of person that they need to hire might be more of a supervisor or a team lead, and that in itself has a challenge. Do you deal with some of that?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of issues in what you just said, and I'll deal with them separately. First, the when do I hire? From a financial sense, I try to coach them into doing a financial forecast, because I want them to hire looking forward, not looking backward in prior results. I want them looking forward. So we try to create a budget and a forecast. That will provide them with the funding availability. Who to hire is, you try to get them down to the mix in the job description. And is this person going to be potentially a future leader that you're looking for? Because you want the person has the highest potential, or is it somebody you need really just a strong competency in a certain area? And those are two different kinds of people. And we try to get them to think like that.
Very different. That's good.
And then as they get to it, the other part, I don't want to leave this site, but as you're talking to the owner too, if you find that the owner is spending more time doing the things themselves and hands-on, and if the owner has this thought process and it's causing turnover with the employee base, that nobody can do it as good as they can, then we try to coach the owner out of that. Because you always think nobody can do it as good as me, but that's not your job. Your job is to motivate, inspire people to be as good as you, if not better than you. You've got to take them up to the level. So then we'll work on leadership. Because the issue may not be getting employees. The issue could be them in leadership, because they're turning over the employees they have. So how do we make you a better leader and somebody that people want to work for? And then it'll make the whole hiring process a lot easier.
A lot easier.
And then if you have great people, being willing to let them go, because they'll tell other people what a great employer you are, and that'll motivate others to come to you, not try to hold on and grasp. Let people go and follow their dreams and help support those dreams. That'll make you a leader.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, where they are, but a lot of times people will present an issue, but then you get inside it, there's other issues. You'll find a lot of times that businesses aren't working, not because the business is the right concept, but because there's a marital issue and there's friction between the husband and wife. Not that I do marital counseling. And
No.
Say I'm doing marital.
Well, I'm sure you'd be great since you've been married 30 years. So.
So a lot of times there's something else in the background too that'll stop people from being successful. And you'll drill
well, the debt of the business sometimes I think would be another stress.
The debt, and the leverage and the sleeplessness and. What we'll try to do is take a business profile and then map it to benchmarks and try to give them a sense. So they'll say, well, we're not really doing very well, and I didn't really grow revenue or profit last year. Well, if this is the year 2009, 2010, just staying in business is pretty successful.
Yes, indeed.
Versus someone else could come and see you and say, hey, we've been growing 5% last year, but if the business is taken off by 20, 25%, you're losing market share. So a lot of it, you try to coach them too with respect to not look so much internally, but let's look externally. Let's look at the industry. Let's look at the economic situation. Let's look at the competition. Let's look at the forest, and not so much into that. And then it'll open up doors. Things they didn't even think of before will now open up
I love
for
it
them.
because possibilities come, don't they?
They do come.
Well, tell us a little bit about the successes that you've encountered, you know. What are some of the
Well,
successes?
there's actually, I'll quote the three, but we do work under confidentiality.
Of course.
So I can't, you know,
Oh, I don't want you to name
blah, blah, blah,
companies. And, right.
But I'll tell you three, and somebody can go to Eastern Florida State website and see them posted. And we posted them in the local media as well and on our network. Three of them, one was a local restaurant. And the local restaurant was having a difficulty. Actually, growth was there, but the owner had difficulty really understanding the financial reports and the story and the numbers and what to do with that story and how to even take money out. In fact, what the owner was doing was taking money out of the business as a salary, paying the payroll taxes on it, and then putting the money back into the business because she didn't feel like it had enough cash. So basically, you're taking money out, you're paying cash, and then you're putting the money right back in. But these are you know, under duress. I mean, it's what people are thinking. So we helped her through the financial management process, and then provided forecasts and worked through it and show how she was doing with the competition and guided on the right track and counseled her through it. That was one. Another client who was involved in the environment, working on environmental issues, which is very much a hot button now with the Indian River. And she worked on water management, but she needed to get her name out and build her brand. For that person, we put together a marketing plan, and we developed some press relations, and we were able to promote the services and got that individual out there. Another person actually is in the media business, and local person, I won't say the name, you may know this individual. But we helped this person put together the plan and talk to outside investors and being able to help them with the terminology that people in the investment community speak. What this terminology means for this business and how to translate that business into that terminology and show the success of it to encourage outside participation. So those are three that are actually on our website. And then there are some that we helped win government contracts that are out there. I wasn't personally involved, so I don't know those as well, but that was one of my peers did, Patricia Simpson did that, did an excellent job.
Go over the economic impact that the SBDC has had, Florida SBDC specifically.
The 5-year statewide impact went like this. So we provided our network in the state provided over 400,000 hours to 45,000 clients.
Wow.
And that resulted in 218,000 jobs, $29.3 billion in sales, $2.1 billion in government contracts, $947 million in capital investment, and 3,857 new businesses.
Jeez, that's fantastic.
That was all of us working across the state of Florida. That did it over a 5-year period.
That's
the
impressive.
impact we make.
That's very impressive. So our tax dollars put to good work. And the other grant money and whatever else.
Well, in partnership.
And partnership.
It's a partnership.
Absolutely, it's a partnership.
No, but I feel it's good work. And, you know, of course, people like me, we're doing it because we enjoy it. We're not doing it for the money because it's a not-for-profit.
Right. Well, I think you said you were retired.
I retired, I'm doing things for fun.
You know, you did this because you really are passionate about it.
Right.
They're lucky to have you and your knowledge and expertise.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm lucky to work for them. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And I met so many wonderful people. Some are my golf buddies now and other things. So
if somebody comes to your office and you're too busy or they have a need that somebody else in the network can meet, you'll refer them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll either refer them to somebody in our network, SBDC, or another SBA resource partner like SCORE, We Ventures, which used to be called the Women's Business Center, and another excellent resource. And I work with both of those groups, and they're excellent people. I have nothing but tremendous respect for them, and I would send them that way easily.
Yeah.
So the people, I think the small business community needs to know the wealth of resources that they have out there, and it's their job really to try to tap into it. It's our job to communicate it and support them, but really they have to take the initiative and engage it. There's help out there if they ask for it and are willing to go out and get it.
Yeah, because I wonder why some people don't pick up the phone and call. Why, when they're aware of it, you know, why don't they call? I wonder if some people are just embarrassed because they go, I should already know this. You know, any words of encouragement for them to, you know, just become more vulnerable or comfortable with engaging and getting that business coach that is so affordable?
I think there are a lot of reasons. You hit on some of them, Debbie. Other is, many people are private too and don't want to share. I mean, I mentioned the financial situation. Not everybody wants to share their financial information. Right. Not everybody wants to air out all the dirty laundry and show that relationship issues are not working. And there are a lot of people very, I'm a private person, so I respect that.
I understand that.
And they don't, it's just fear of the unknown too, a little bit as well.
Well, I think the important thing is that when they come, I think it's fair to assume that anything and everything that's shared with you in a class, because there's a lot of classes, we haven't even really talked about the classes and we're almost wrapping up, right? And you mentioned them, but there's such a list of classes at such a low dollar that it's all confidential. Anything that is stated is all confidential.
Yeah, we have a code of ethics. So we don't disclose the company names, the individuals, the individual problems. And there's an ethics that govern us. Nor do we take gifts from any small business owners. We don't take, I won't allow them to buy me lunch or dinner. We won't allow any of that. There's a strong code of ethics that we have.
So you have to pay for your own golf fee.
Got to pay for my own golf fee. Unless you want to play golf. Then, of course, I'm on this TV show, so we can work things out.
That's right. Marty, it's a pleasure to have you.
Nice to be here.
And thank you so much for sharing and educating our guests. On behalf of my guests and everyone here on the set of Your Career, thank you for watching, and remember, be career happy.
More information about this program is available online at millermediagroup.org.